Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you, Senna.
The doctorate is in agricultural economics.
Yeah.
That is your area, right?
That's my
the area of agriculture.
Yeah, agriculture economics. Agriculture economics is, applied economics in agriculture.
Applied economics.
Economics. So you'd study it's an upgrade of the knowledge in economics and its application in agriculture. So you would need to be trained fully in economics.
Okay.
Fully in economics before you apply.
Okay.
You understand? So if you study economics, you would just end in generalized economic theories.
Okay.
But for you to be an agricultural economist, you would need to study economics in full, know all the theories, know all the econometrics, the mathematics of it. Then you apply in agriculture.
So you understand inflation and everything that comes with it?
I'm actually an economist.
Oh, and yes. Then when it comes to the area of
agriculture, so it's a higher knowledge. It's a very difficult program to do.
How long have you been doing this? Did you start at the degree level?
Yes, I have. My first degree was in agriculture.
Okay.
I combined agric economics and animal science, but I majored in animal science. And I recall in my third year, my head of department, Professor Sapon, who later became my supervisor for my PhD, just called me and said, "Look, the way you are going, you are a student leader, you are always doing demonstrations here and there. You'll be a politician, and agric economics will help you. Why do you want to do animal science?" So major in agric economics. I told him that I wanted to become a medical doctor.
Oh, okay.
And I got into agriculture by accident.
Okay.
Because that year I was not admitted to the medical
school.
Yes, and
you didn't want to wait?
I really wanted to do medicine until 2010. 2010, when we were in government, I still wanted to go to medical school. Even when
after you had your degree in animal science and everything.
Yes, I really want. In actual fact, I stayed home 3 years after secondary school.
Okay.
Because I wanted to go to the medical school and I wanted to school outside. So
okay.
I had several admissions in American universities, full scholarship to study medicine, and I never got the visa for 3 years. I was just going back to back about 5 times in the American embassy, and I never got the visa to go and study medicine. So this whole thing is divine. So finally I just decided that let me find my way to University of Ghana.
Okay.
And the year that I applied to, I didn't get. So I went around and I said no, I won't do this. So one lecturer, Professor Anderson, she was in the English department. A friend in our church introduced me to Professor Anderson to help out. So I went to Prof and he said, "Look, you are lucky you've gotten agriculture science, an amazing program. You can do agriculture science, major in animal science, and later do a postgrad medicine. So go and do it." So she convinced me to take on agriculture.
All with the aim of doing a postgraduate
medicine. And incidentally, it never changed until 2010, 2011.
Oh, so even until 2010, it was still in your mind that you're going to do medicine?
Yes.
What happened in 2010 that made you change?
Well, when I started working at the castle, I was reviewing a lot of economic articles, reviewing a lot of data from the statistical service for our work. I was at the communications directorate as a head of research, working under Koku. I was reviewing a lot of, statistical work. And one thing that struck me was the brilliance of Professor Mills and his understanding of economics. So I was like, when we send the documents, he just understands it. He's a smart. He can explain the economic theories and all those things. And that, struck me at a certain point that, look, this, I think that perhaps maybe I have to reconsider and, go back to agric economics or go back to economics. Actually, I wanted to do economics. So I enrolled for my at that time, I had incidentally started my first master's in animal breeding. So I just reconsidered and said, look, let me go and do economics. So I had to apply to the econs department.
So what happened to the master's you had started in animal breeding? Or you continued?
I did 1 year and I left it.
Okay.
Yes, I did 1 year and I left it.
So you moved from
I did my thesis, but I didn't defend.
Oh, okay. So you could have gotten a master's in animal breeding.
I studied my research was in profiling the phenotypic and genotypic composition of local birds, local chicken.
Okay. I recall, because I recall vividly when COVID set in, you were on Allergy and Allergy. And then I remembered, I started with you. And then you were talking about viruses in a manner. I said,
that's microbiology.
I never knew.
I've studied microbiology in full. I understand viruses, bacteria, and in full.
As part of your first degree?
Yes, first degree and second degree, the one I started.
Okay.
I did a full course in microbiology. I had, I think, A- at the time.
Wow.
Microbiology, master's.
So your master's is in economics?
Yes, economic policy.
Economic policy?
Yes.
Okay.
Then I studied economic policy. Then I wanted to do development economics PhD.
Okay.
Then the year that I applied, because I had not done full economics first degree, and I had not done economics MPhil, I passed the interview all right, and it's a very interesting story. A very interesting story. Then because I had some few people following up for me, the report I got was that no, they are insisting that look, you need to get some econometrics background. I'm MPhil economics, econometrics background, so we can't do that. So subsequently, and we were in government, and that time I was always on the move, and I'm the kind of academic person. I work at night, I read at night, I like learning at night. So I just decided that okay, if I'm not able to do the development economics PhD, let me enroll on some online PhD program. So I enrolled in the SMC University to study PhD in finance.
And you did?
Yes, in 2014. And so at the time, at the peak of finalizing my destiny, there was this noise about online PhDs. I mean, SMC University does not have accreditation and all that. Then that period, we lost elections in 2017. Then I said, okay, this is another opportunity. Let me go back and do full-time PhD.
Okay.
Then I went to the cons department again, met the HOD. Then he said, okay, we can let you do 1 year MPhil. Then you continue because your transcript is good. Your grades are good. I mean, you were good when you were doing this thing, so we can do that. So go and apply. So on my way out of the university, then I passed through my department to say hi to my professor. Then he reminded me again, I told you that you have to do economics.
Agriculture.
Then he said, yeah, why? I mean, then I asked him, can I apply to do agriculture economics since I didn't major in agriculture economics and I've not done agriculture economics and so. Then he said, okay, let's see if it can be done. So I just applied. Incidentally, they called me for the interview and I prepared very well, very well. Because the econometrics is the thing. If your background in econometrics is weak, they will not admit you to any economics program.
Okay.
So I had to prepare. Incidentally, that year, the information I got was that all those who applied, I was the number one in terms of performance at the interview. Yes, and the presentation of my thesis proposal. So I was admitted. Okay. And the condition was that there were a few professors who were very hesitant. They were not too sure whether I could do it. So they said I should do 1 year MPhil. Then if I pass, I'll continue. After the 1 year.
MPhil in what?
MPhil in agric economics.
Okay.
So after my first year, they realized that no, my worst grade was 1B+ in the first year, and I passed my comprehensive. In actual fact, Senna, I am the last 7 years. The PhD is a 4 years program. The last 7 years, those who enrolled 2 years before me.
Okay.
And I came in the 3rd year. I graduated with them this year. Record time. I did 4 years. Exactly 4 years.
There were people who were there for longer.
Yeah. I did exactly 4 years. In fact, most of the professors up to now, they can't believe that I was able to do 4 years.
How were you able to do it? Because at the same time, I recall sometimes when I call you, because if you're talking about 4 years, I have been speaking to you. You keep telling me, I am here.
The day I wrote my comprehensive exams, in PhD, we have what we call the academic work you do 1 year. You do about 10 or 12 courses. Then when you finish, you write what we call comprehensive. So you write 1 comprehensive exams. Then you do a presentation. Okay. Then they would pass you that, okay, you are fit to do research work.
Okay.
Then you do the research work for 3 years. The very day I wrote my comprehensive, the next day I was on the field campaigning for Deputy General Secretary elections. In fact, I was on the field. I came to write and went back
to the field.
Yes, before I won my election as Deputy General Secretary. When the time I move with my laptop. So I'll do all the rounds and do all the talking and do all the party work. When you call me at 2 a.m., you see, you get me. Because that time the calls are gone. From 9 p.m., you are done. Okay. So when you sit behind the machine, I turn into a different mode. And that's how I was able to do it.
I'm guessing it was not easy.
It's not easy. I mean, it cannot be easy. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Particularly writing thesis is a lot of work. It takes a lot of reading. And you have to be switching in modes. So from the political mode to the academic mode and be able to write your thesis. And I mean, thankfully, I submitted my thesis last year, December, finally, after the various seminar defenses. And the results came in May, and I had to do my defense. And I did my defense. I'm sure you monitored the parts of the defense. Yes, I mean, it was all over. They screamed, they gave the link, so a lot of people joined. One lecturer was telling me that my Viva was the highest attended ever in the institute because somebody shared the link. Somebody shared the link on social media, so a lot of people watched. And I mean, God's grace, God has been amazing. I mean, Sena, it's not been easy. So you realize that people were calling me doctor earlier. It's because of the earlier one that I did. Then I had also gotten some honorary doctorate in executive leadership from the New England University in the US. And it's all because of some of the academic articles that I write and all those things. So it's been good. It's been good.
Good so far.
It's good to do politics and also understand policy and know your thing and know your game. It helps. It changes the style you apply to leadership in politics.
That's it to you, because I am wondering. But first of all, for those of us who missed it, which area interested you so much you had to do a thesis on?
Well, I wanted to do something on efficiency because I believe in results. I'm a results-oriented person. Anybody who works close to me knows that. Like I just want results. Sometimes I don't care about the operational means, not in a bad way, but I just want the results. I'm a results-driven person, and results must be good. The results must be efficient. It must be workable. It must be usable. So, like, I was motivated to think about why so much inefficiency in our economic system. In fact, that is what drove the whole thing before this tomato thing came up. So my proposal I sent to the economics department for the development economics PhD was looking at how we can build an efficient economic model that is responsive to our situation, our fundamental situation. My master's thesis was in exchange rate pass-through to inflation. Exchange rate pass-through to inflation. So the ineffectiveness was huge. I use an vector error correction model. And those who understand econometrics, who understand what I'm saying. So the inefficiency, the error in there, that makes the pass-through effects not, fully, felt, drove me to really look at the broader economy and the inefficiencies in there. So when I was invited for my interview for the agric economics, I still wanted to understand technical efficiency. So I had to, apply that economic theory to some critical aspect of agriculture. And tomato in Ghana is like a daily, meal for everybody. In fact, tomato is our food. When you go elsewhere, they do a lot of greens and all that. But in Ghana, every single table has tomato.
Tomatoes.
Yes. And, it's very expensive. sometimes very difficult to get in the lean season.
Yeah.
You have to get it from Burkina Faso. The struggles to get it from Burkina Faso, and the price implications and the livelihood implications, and the cost of, the cost of living in relation to tomatoes. So I said, okay, then let me look at tomatoes. If I'm going to do agri-economics, let me see how we can study the efficiency in producing tomatoes so that we can improve the production of tomatoes and not rely on the imports. And indeed, if you look at the amount of tomatoes that we are importing into this country, it will blow your mind. Forget about even what we are getting from Burkina Faso, which is mostly a significant part of what we consume.
Okay.
Tomato products are from China, from EU, and so on and so forth. So how can we relatively improve our production efficiency and increase our productivity and be able to process the tomato here and be able to take over the market, because we have a comparative advantage in terms of the arability of our land. We can produce more. So 5 ecological zones in Ghana, you can produce tomato. So why are we so weak in there? Let's identify the problem, fix the problem, and be able to grow our economy based on this, vegetable, which is tomato. Okay. So that is what drove me to study that
particular area.
Yes.
Because whilst we were talking, I was just reminded of one thing, that whenever tomatoes is in season, you always find them by the roadside. A lot of them got rotten. Yeah. So I was wondering if the issue is production or the issue is storage. What did you find?
The issue is production.
Okay.
Post-harvest management and processing. Because you see,
production,
tomato
management and processing.
And processing.
Okay.
You see, and marketing as well.
Okay.
And marketing, because the marketing value chain includes processing and post-harvest handling and all that.
Okay.
The thing about tomato is that it's a perishable product. So when you harvest, it doesn't take long. It has a very short shelf life. So what it means is that if you don't have efficient means of managing the post-harvest value chain, then you are out. But when you look at the quantity that we are producing compared to our value chain management, still we fall short. Still we fall short. So then it means that we would have to find a way to, one, either produce tomato averagely sustainable across seasons, so that it doesn't become seasonal in Ghana, because you can cross season. So you realize that in my thesis, I studied the efficiency of tomato production across 2 technologies, irrigation and rain-fed. But we are doing mostly rain-fed. So, and the results show that if we do more irrigation, we can grow throughout the year. And whilst we grow throughout the year, we can improve the productivity. You see, the thing about productivity also is that you can get glut, but you are not productive. Because you have 1 acre of land. And maybe you are supposed to get maybe about, in other countries, they are getting 32 kilograms, per hectare. You are getting about 7 or 5 kilograms per hectare. I mean, it means that your
production is low.
It's very low. Averagely Ghana now is, from my studies, is 7.8 kilogram per hectare, and it is relatively low. So if you are able to improve how much value or productivity you are able to get from your acre of land, then it means that whilst we deal with the value chain management, problems of processing and marketing, having ready market for them. In fact, sometimes the glut and the rotten tomatoes that you see, it's not because there's no market. The market is there, but how to even move into the market is a problem. Because you have a short shelf life.
Is that all part of the value chain problem?
Yes, it's all part of the value chain problems. And, that is where the political economy of tomato production comes in, where you look at those areas that do not have roads, good roads, but they produce. They do not even have electricity, so you can't even store the tomato over a period. They can't even have processing plants, and so on and so forth. Association with farmer-based organizations and how to network the market so that you get somebody who readily move the product quickly onto the market, and even how you do the harvesting and the post-harvest management, how you box it. You understand? And it's a whole lot of things.
I'm sure you had to travel a lot to do this.
Yes, I've been to pick data, but mostly it was good for me because I was always on the field. So when I moved to the field, I do
Which
the work.
Which areas were helpful?
As in
the areas where
where I studied, where I gathered I did 4 ecological zones. I did the Guinea Savannah zone, which is the northern region, and parts of the Upper East region. Then I did the forest transition zone, which is Techiman, Offenso, and I'm sure you are today you are enjoying the insights into agriculture.
Yeah.
So the forest transition zone, which is the Offenso Techiman area, that is a hub for tomato production. Then I did the forest zone, which is part of Ashanti region. Then we did the Adan enclave, the coastal savannah zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, if you just join me, I have Dr. Peter Boamah Otokunor in the studio. And there's a lot of questions that we have followed up with. But
let's find a day and discuss.
Yes, we have to talk about Greek a bit more. We have to talk about Greek a bit more. But once again, congratulations.
Thank you, my brother.
Congratulations. Well, he's in the studio with me to talk about what is happening in terms of the Electoral Commission, how they are proceeding with the CI. I understand they have pre-laid that CI, but it has not been properly laid yet. The CI is saying henceforth, and I first want to find out from you, what is the NDC's understanding of the CI before Parliament currently? Because I spoke to Dr. Boamah Asare, and the indication he gives me is that it seems there's a move away from limited voter registration. They won't do limited voter registration for the 2024 elections. What they will do is continuous registration, and then they will only take the Ghana card. So first, the NDC's thoughts on what you're seeing in terms of the CI?
Well, first of all, let me make a point that the Constitution of Ghana enjoins the Electoral Commission to put up programs to expand the voter roll. Okay. So in putting up programs to expand the voter roll, in 1996, there was a case that was sent to court demanding that the Electoral Commission reviews its processes of expanding the voter roll from the one-spot registration after every 4 years and do it continuous, because every day people are turning 18, so they must have a continuous register. So the court ruled that there should be a process for continuous registration. Following from this process of continuous registration, Afarijan and co put in some measures, and at IPAC we agreed, and that's when in 2012, when we started the biometric register, we agreed that people should be able to go to the district offices and go and register. So the BVRs that we purchased were for all district offices so that people could go and register. Now, Jane Mensah, when she was at IE, she was one of the people who led the discourse on implementing the continuous registration, because from 1998, was it 94, 96, from that time, that implementation had not been done, even though it has been ruled in court. Now, continuous registration is one thing that in 2020, when Jane Mensah decided to scrap the entire register and compile a new voter register, we emphasized that, look, there is a register that has so much credibility. This is biometric. People's biometric information do not change. So why, and when they die with their biometrics. So why don't you maintain the register? Then do continuous registration. Then get those who are alive to be part of the register. Then let's see how we rather improve our birth and death registry, so that when somebody dies, you get the birth certificate. Then if the system is linked, because it's an IT system, it's an electronic system. If the system is linked, when you die and they issue a birth certificate, then we can have an automatic link and be cleaning up the register. Elsewhere, we have what we call the accredited voters. So you have a voter register, but you have what we call the accredited voters, because there are some members on the voter roll who would have died. So every time when you are going for elections, you accredit the current ones that are alive, and there are systems to do that so that they would qualify to vote. We made this argument, and this argument fell on stones. We compiled a new voter register. So now the interesting thing is that in the compilation of that register, we said that as part of the process to register, there's a need for you to identify yourself first as a qualified Ghanaian who can vote. So we scrapped the usage of the old voter register, which meant that all those who were in the old register literally have been classified dead, so they do not exist anymore. So we are compiling new one. They said that you needed a passport, you needed a Ghana card, you needed a guarantee system to guarantee you to register in 2020. We did all the demonstrations, and I'm sure you followed how we toured the entire country and trying to get people to understand why it shouldn't be so. Yet the Electoral Commission, with the support of government, was able to do that. So we used that register in 2020. Guess what is very interesting? The argument they made at the time was that the passport, Ghana card, were credible. Also, it helps reduce the infiltration of foreigners. And the reason is that at least it gives you some documentation that you are a Ghanaian. But they added the guarantor system so that anybody can bring somebody and say, oh, I guarantee that you are a Ghanaian and you qualify to register. And I recall that those times we were making the argument that, look, in getting a Ghana card, people are guaranteeing for people. What shows that they are not guaranteeing from the wrong people? You understand? And you have added guarantee as also part of the requirements. What shows that the people that will bring those individuals will not just come and guarantee for people, because there's no measure to measure whether they are foreigners or not. So the idea of excluding foreigners or spending over 400 million Ghana cedi or $400 million on a register because you want to remove foreigners is problematic. Now, fast forward, we went to 2020 elections. We were there and we received a letter from the Electoral Commission that they want to review the registration CI, the CI for registrations. Then it was a bit surprising because one, after the elections, the fallouts and all the issues that came out, the Supreme Court, proceedings and all that, there was no major directive that we should review or relook at the electoral process because the Supreme Court didn't even allow us to look at the defects in the electoral system. So when we got the letter, we were surprised. But they were demanding that we bring a representative to the legal subcommittee of IPAC. We had boycotted IPAC though, but we are the major political party and a major stakeholder in our elections. So we wrote a letter to them appointing Alhaji Udiaya, our very first venerable General Secretary, to go and represent us. Up to today, Senna, we are still waiting for an invitation for Alhaji Udiaya.
The legal subcommittee that was supposed to do this review.
Yes.
You nominated
Alhaji
one person
Udiaya,
to be part of the process.
And he's yet to be invited. In fact, when they wrote the letter, so I'm building a point. When we wrote the letter, when they wrote, they indicated a date for a meeting.
Okay.
So when we did the nomination, Alhaji was supposed to be there. He went there, stood there, there was no meeting. Throughout, nobody came. So that was the end. Only for us to hear.
The day of the meeting, nothing happened.
Yeah, nothing happened. Only for us to hear that the Electoral Commission had completed a CI and had sent to Parliament. Indeed, when they wrote the letter, they added a copy of the CI, indicating that they want to use the Ghana card as the sole identification document. Bear in mind that we have some issues with the Electoral Commission. We had boycotted IPAC. Some international organizations, the development partners, Peace Council, and a few other organizations, including civil society, have been doing various engagements to see how the disputes is resolved. We come to a common amicable understanding on how to run IPAC, because we felt that the role of IPAC, as it used to be, has been changed by Jane Mensah. It has become the headmistress classroom students relationship, where the headmistress come to assembly and say, today you are not going on break, and it's a decision. You can't do anything about it. Today we are not having classes, and it's a decision. Like the headmistress student relationship. You go to meetings, you don't make any suggestions. They come with a decision, and when you finish the meeting, they go out there and say that it's an IPAC decision. So we become a rubber stamp. You just go to the meeting and, whatever happens, they say, oh, you have made the decision. So we decided that we will not go to IPAC. Now let IPAC revert to its original role of a platform for consensus building in refining our electoral processes.
Okay.
A few roadmaps had been put in place by the work being done by the Peace Council and the civil society organizations. The Electoral Commission have refused. They have engaged the NDC, the MPP, and we have agreed on a few things. The Electoral Commission has refused. Indeed, in most part, the Electoral Commission has even refused to engage the Peace Council and the civil society organizations that are supposed to work with the Electoral Commission to resolve this matter.
There's been an attempt by the Peace Council and the civil society
and even development partners, Commonwealth, even the Commonwealth,
to try and resolve
the problem. Because you see, above all things, we are the major stakeholders in our elections. And if the integrity of our elections is being compromised, based on report by even the national security, the Afrobarometer had done reports that the integrity of the Electoral Commission is becoming a national security threat. The national security itself, in its work, has identified that, the national security has identified that the Electoral Commission, its work has become a threat to national security. And before the elections, they engaged us based on that report.
National security?
Yes. So, you see, the Electoral Commission itself has become a national security problem. And based on this interested groups, the development partners, the Commonwealth, the Peace Council, the civil society organizations, CDD, and so on and so forth, wants us to find an amicable way of working together to strengthen our electoral process. The Electoral Commission has refused. Now, in this latest twist, they have sent this bill to Parliament without the involvement of the political parties, that they want to exclude all other fundamental identification documents for you to be on the voter roll and leave the Ghana card. So the quick question that comes to mind, what is chasing the Electoral Commission? Why are they in a hurry to use a document that they do not have control over? To use a document that does not belong to them? To use a document that, its compilation has no relationship with the work that they are doing, as the only source of identification to vote as a Ghanaian.
Are you suggesting
we have birth certificate, which identifies the date that you are giving birth to, which identifies whether you are a citizen. That birth certificate alone is an embodiment of an identification document that will make you qualify to vote, because the Constitution states that you should be of sound mind, you should be 18 years and above, and you should be a Ghanaian.
But there's those who suggest that the birth certificate has been discredited by the Supreme Court.
But you see, that's the point I'm building. You see, and that was discredited by the Supreme Court with support of the government, the MPP government, and the Electoral Commission. That, after today, I can't fathom what led to that decision by the Electoral Commission. But be that as it may, it has been undertaken. Now, from the 2020 register, listen carefully. We use passport and we use the guarantor system plus the Ghana card. Now, if this law passes, what it means is that we are not scrapping the register. So there would be people on the register who would have registered with passport, who would have been registered through the guarantor system, which has been outlawed. Does it mean that we have to go back to the register and remove those individuals from the register and get them to register again with their Ghana card?
I would have said laws do not take retroactive effect.
Yes, but there's a case in point where the law took retroactive effect.
I agree.
When the National Health Insurance was outlawed in 2016, the court also ruled that we should go back to the register and delete all those who use National Health Insurance to register. And they had registered and voted in the 2012 elections. Ghana court ruled that we should remove those names and get them to register with the appropriate documents, excluding the National Health Insurance card. So there is history, there is precedence, which shows that if today this law passes, anybody can go to court and demand that anybody who registered through the guarantor system or using passport should be removed from the register so that they go and look for their Ghana card and go and re-register.
But must the person not first convince the Supreme Court that these two ID cards, even though they are not part of the new law, were not proper documentation for the purpose of registration?
But that's what happened in the health insurance case.
Yeah, because
you
that
can
person
still
was
argue,
able to convince
but why?
the Supreme
The
Court.
health insurance card had a basis why it was included. You understand? The driver's license tells you about your nationality, but all those were excluded. They were outlawed. So it would be so easy to outlaw the guarantor system. In fact, it would be the most easiest. But here again, let's look at the reason why we think that this is the most dangerous, the most exclusive, separatist, policy by this government and the Electoral Commission.
Dangerous and separatist.
Yes. You see, we see a conscious attempt to exclude some section of the society from voting. If you look at every government, when you study the political progression very well, you would see that every government that loses power, it is the youth that makes the government lose power. Now, what is the biggest problem of this country? Youth unemployment. The young people that are turning 18, they look very dejected. They don't have hope for any better life in future. They are seeing a government that has failed, that is insensitive to them. They would want to punish the government. So if the youth want to punish the government, like they have done in the past, changing governments, then let's find a way to stop the youth or to exclude the youth from the electoral process, to prevent them from participating and exercising their rights, their God-given rights, and their inalienable rights to vote in our elections. So let's use Ghana card. Okay. Now, how many young people, 15 to 18, are inspired literally to go for Ghana card? Few. Because you see, the reason why people go for Ghana card is that they are using phones, and the phones will be deactivated when they don't register with Ghana card. The other reason why they need the Ghana card is that they will need the Ghana card to go to the bank and do transactions. These are people who may not even have bank accounts because they are 15 to 18. Okay. They have not gotten to working age. They don't need bank account. They may not even need Momo. You understand? So what this government is basically doing is that they know that a lot of these age brackets will not have the Ghana card. So let's use the Ghana card as the only requirement for you to qualify as a voter. And let's scrap the over 4 million young people who are qualified to join the voter roll, within this period. And be able to, have our way as a government. I think that is very retrogressive, that is very backward, and that is very wicked and insensitive to the young people. Yeah. And that is clearly what this bill seeks to do. To disenfranchise over 4 million young people. Look, if you look at our population statistics, okay, about 20 million, a little over 20 million people fall between the ages of 15 and above. Okay. And from 18, they qualify to vote. Now, the National Identification Authority has registered about 16.9 million Ghanaians. Okay. Only 15.9 have their cards. 1 million do not have their cards. So let's use the 15.9 that have their cards. It means that we have close to about 4.5 million people who are not on the national identification card. Okay. Now, this 4.5 million people are people who would have turned 18 from 2020 till now and will continue to turn 18 moving forward. Now, the truth is that for anybody who is matured at a voting age in 2020, that person would have seen the essence to register. So a lot of them would have registered. So those who are above 18, 20 something, 25 going upwards, who are not on the voter roll would be very minimal. Okay. Except that maybe they were outside the country and they have now come. They will be very small, negligible. Those who actually need the continuous registration or the limited registration are the young ones that have turned 18 and 20 who fall between these 4 million people who do not have Ghana card. And yet you are going to use that as the sole requirement to register them.
But you do not have any basis that they don't have.
But why? I've given you the basis. I told you that 15.9 million people have the Ghana card. And we are looking at about some 5 million people who do not have. Some of them have even registered and they have not received the card. In actual fact, the process of this Ghana card registration has dug into some credibility or integrity crisis, because they have employed some, divisive, exclusive, means in even registering the Ghana card. Last time you reported in Central Region that certain groups of people are being excluded from registering for the Ghana card. You understand? So we are talking about Ghana card that its integrity is being questioned, because the government is using certain crude means to exclude some people from, acquiring the identity.
Because even if you look at the deficiency in terms of people who have registered and have cards and people who do not have cards, you don't have an age breakdown that supports what.
No, but claiming. You don't. You see, in any statistical analysis, you have what we call an error margin.
Okay.
And I've alluded to that point, that there could be people who are 30 years, 40 years, they didn't register in 2020. But that will be negligible. So there will certainly be an error margin. So if we are looking at about 5 million people, let's even assume that there are some 1 million Ghanaians who are 30 years and above and couldn't register and they are part of it. Majority of them are young people who have turned 18 from 2020 till now. And the population statistics tells you by indication, because the statistics is in ages. So it tells you by indication those who are 14 years this year, those who are 15 years this year, those who are 16 years this year. And the data is available. We have the data as well. It's public. You understand? So there are huge number of people who have turned 18 years from 2020 till now who may be denied the opportunity to register, because by simple extrapolation, you would know that they are part of the people who have not registered for the Ghana card. You understand? So this is a conscious approach by the government and the Electoral Commission to disenfranchise a large mass of our people.
Why do you bring your government in?
No,
this is the decision of the
Electoral Commission. No, you cannot do this without the government, because the digital wizkid and the economic wizkid, who has now transmogrified into a digital poster boy, has been on the fringes. And he has been advocating we should use Ghana card for election, we should do this, we should do that. Instead of looking at fixing the fundamentals of the economy, which has taken us into an abyss, into a very disgraceful abyss, which we will come to look at, Instead of looking at that, he has been on the fringes and talking about Ghana card here, Ghana card there, Ghana card in 2024, Ghana card 2028, that kind of comic, vituperations on the electoral process. So you cannot afford to extricate the government from what the Electoral Commission is doing. They are in clear cahoot to shortchange the young people of this country. And I make this point very strongly. So forget about all the inefficiencies in building this law, the non-consultative nature of bringing up this law. When you look at the political parties in IPAC, in fact, as we speak, all the political parties that have attended the IPAC meetings that they have held, it is only the MPP that is in support of this decision. It is only the MPP. But why? Why will you use an incomplete document as the sole basis to identify a Ghanaian to go and register to vote? Why? I can't imagine that even the gods of your ancestors and the dwarfs in your village would appear to you in your dream and give you this advice.
You think the National Identity Register, based on which a Ghana card is issued, is not in the mode where it can be used solely for a voter registration?
It has not gotten there at all. In fact, if you will recall some of the arguments that we made in 2020, we said that Ghana card is good. Why? When we were in government, we spent a lot of money in building and buying the equipment that is being used by the National Identification Authority to issue the cards. We actually set the entire place up. When we were just about to take off, we left power. So it is what we have built that they are using to issue the Ghana card. So we don't in any way underestimate the role of national identification in our country. Okay. In fact, we believe that it is the basis for accelerating, it's a springboard for economic acceleration or economic development. So for the Ghana card, we had argued in 2020 that why will you want to go and spend $400 million in replacing this current register when you have a credible biometric voter register which you can use over the period, and take time to strengthen the national identification processes so that when it has reached the level that its integrity can be vouched for, you would just switch and use the national identification data for the voting or for elections. That would be a very ideal, perfect situation. Then you would have not compiled the Ghana card for elections, but you would have compiled it for something else and find the opportunity to use it for the elections. We made this argument very strongly. Now, 2 years down the line, you have this economic whiskey turned into digital poster boy, trying to tell us the same thing that we told him 2 years ago, and he was laughing at us and making fun and mockery of what we were saying. Coming back to tell us that we would use it in 2024, we use it. The integrity of the identification system has not been certified yet. But if we are going to do our things very well and not deploy this, communist inferior tactics in registering people, the time will come in the next 10 years somehow when, children are having Ghana cards. So at birth, we have a data on you. So when you turn 18, automatically you move into the voting range, something that can be tracked. To that point, we would be able to say satisfactorily that we can use the national identification as a means of generating our voter register. We have not gotten there yet. Okay. And we know that is not what the bill is about. Dr. Bosman has been setting his own questions and answering them. We are not saying that they are going to use the Ghana card to vote in 2024. We are saying that the law they have sent to Parliament to exclude all identification requirements and leave the Ghana card as the sole basis for registering as a voter is where we have a problem. Okay. We have since indicated to our caucus in Parliament that this is something that we do not support and cannot support. In fact, the entire nation everybody is speaking that this is something that cannot happen. It is going to be problematic. Even the so-called SIM card registration exercise, they have extended because people do not have the Ghana card. It's not because they don't want to register, but they do not have the Ghana card. And it's the reality on the ground. And the National Identification Authority themselves have admitted that their system is not ready yet for that. So what is the rush? Who is chasing the Mensa? Who is chasing Dr. Bosman? Who is chasing the Electoral Commission? Somebody is chasing them. And that person is the MPP. How on earth do we have the Attorney General draft legal instrument for the Electoral Commission? The Attorney General appointed by the President, who has been the legal henchman of the President, doing all the dirty things for the President. Then he drafts Electoral Commission's law and send it to Parliament. So the preliminary discussions, the committee has raised, red flags, and we hope that those red flags will be fixed. If for nothing at all, we agree if the passport is taken out, because the passport you will need to pay before you acquire it. And looking at the economic situation, how many people want to go and pay for passports if they don't want to travel? But it's a document that people pay for when they want to travel.
But you forget that
it's like a luxury.
What about those who, for example, you have a sizable diaspora support?
Yes.
If one of your members come into this country just about the time when the registration is ongoing, and all they are holding is a passport, they need to register.
So I was making a point. No, that would be an alternative. Okay. So I'm speaking on the passports. But if the guarantor system is there, they will not need their passports. Okay. That group of people will not need their passports.
But will it not be better to include both the passport and the guarantor system?
No, I am even arguing the worst case scenario. Okay. I'm making a point, worst case scenario. Okay. Because the passport is more of a luxury. It's not the right. I mean, you when you want to travel, that's when you get a passport. And it takes a lot. You pay a lot to get the passport. So if you say you are excluding worst case scenario, the passport, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But I will have a problem with you.
But what you argue is a luxury. To somebody who lives outside this country, who has gone there for economic purposes, that's a requirement.
You see, yes.
That's mandatory. No, that's the basic document they need.
But you see, I'm making a point,
okay.
Relatively. If that is the requirement for him, it's a requirement. It comes to Ghana. For now, we have not implemented ROPA. Okay. You want to vote in Ghana. So when you want to vote in Ghana, you come to Ghana. You have family members. That's why you're a Ghanaian. So they can guarantee for you. So I'm making the point that if you exclude passport, I wouldn't have a problem.
Okay.
I don't think anybody else will have a problem. But if you exclude the second option of getting guarantee to be registered as a voter, That is a big problem. Because even the Ghana card that you are relying on as the sole identification document has the guarantor option for identification. Are you aware?
Yes.
If you want the Ghana card, you can be guaranteed for.
Yeah.
So why will you say, if it is not sheer wickedness and any strategic plan to disenfranchise people, why will you say that the Ghana card you allow for guaranteeing, but you will not allow guaranteeing the voter register? So go and bring Ghana card. Meanwhile, the Ghana card, when you go and you don't have any other documentation, you can be guaranteed for. Senna, why will anybody make that decision?
But I have also heard assurances from the NIA that they believe that within the time period that is left, they can be able to register the people they need to register.
The NIA has been assuring us since it was established.
So you take the assurance.
But NIA has been assuring us since even 2020, when the Electoral Commission was making that claim and we were speaking against it. The NIA came to assure us. So where are we now? Are we not still hovering in the same assurance? At that time, I recall in 2020, they had issued about 30 million cards. So 2 years on, they have been able to add only about 2 million. They've been able to only add 2 million. And the cards are there. So the assurance of the NIA means nothing. It means nothing at all. Okay. The fundamental problem that must be fixed is that you cannot use the Ghana card as the sole identification. Most essentially, worst case scenario, let's add the guarantor system. Okay. So that individuals who are even waiting for their cards, and their cards have, I did my Ghana card last December. Senna, do you know what happened when I went to do my Ghana card? When I got there, they told me that there is a long queue, okay, and I have to do appointment, and I have to come 3 months' time. Listen, 3 months' time.
Appointment
and come 3 months' time. Because their systems, the way it is, you have to do queue, they write your name, then they will call you, then you come and do it. 3 months in December. So if I turn 18 this year and I go to the national identification today, let's say I'm 18 years today, and I go to register and they say I should come 3 months' time, and registration is next month, it means that I've been disqualified. Meanwhile, I have a right under the Constitution to be registered as a voter. So, Senna, somebody is not thinking. Somebody is not thinking. Or if somebody is thinking, he is thinking with wickedness behind the thinking.
So, in this particular situation, what you're doing is asking the Electoral Commission to look at the law again at the guarantor system.
At least, worst case scenario. At least, worst case scenario. But an exclusion of that option would be a very sinister move to disenfranchise people.
But if that's the case, then is the CI that they are putting before Parliament now necessary at all?
It is not even necessary. But you see, we are making this argument because somebody is thinking and want to do something. And we want to find a reason behind why the person is taking that initiative. Because laws are not done in space. An amendment of laws are not done in space. There must be a problem identification. There must be a problem assessment. Like in academics, when you are writing your thesis, they will say do problem statement. You must convince the people that there is a problem. Okay. That is why you want to take certain actions. So what exactly is the problem? Why the Electoral Commission want to take this action?
And
I've never been able to explain to you.
And the challenge is that this question you just raised, which is the basic for policy making, you've not been able to have a conversation with the Electoral Commission on it, which you say you typically would have used the IPAC platform.
Oh, Senna, you have unfettered access to the Electoral Commission than even we, the politicians, because we will go there on IPAC days. Until they call for the IPAC meeting, we do not go to IPAC. Not. So we cannot call for IPAC meeting. They call for the IPAC. But you can call them. So call Boamah, call Jimensa,
and ask
them what is the problem they want to fix.
With the introduction of the Ghana card.
As the sole identification document. What exactly is the problem they want to fix? I doubt if they will get any sensible reason for you.
So despite this question still lingering, you still want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Let them pass their CI, but with that addition of the guarantor system.
We do not, yes. Pending the the presentation of a workable, understandable, reasonable problem that they want to fix. Pending that, if they want to amend the law, they should amend the law and do it properly. And what we are saying is that if you are the other option of the guarantor, we do not have a problem. Maybe you are thinking that the acquisition of passports is a cost burden onto Ghanaians and people don't really get it and all that. So being in the law is not necessary. So let's just spend time and take it off. We are okay. But you cannot take the guarantor option off. And that is our advocacy. But again, you know the laws of this country, when you do CIs and they land in parliament, they are late, they mature naturally. You can't throw it away. You need 2/3 of parliament to throw it off. But at the pre-laying, concerns can be raised.
Okay.
And the concerns must be fixed before the laying is done. And that is what we are hoping, that the team in parliament would make sure that these corrections, these proper human corrections are done before we lay the document in parliament.
Well, it's 38 minutes past 9. I still have Dr. Peter Boamah Otokunor in the studio. There are some members of your party who are saying, why not return to IPAC? We understand your concern, but at least be there to raise your concerns and let them ignore it. You can come out and tell us that I've raised it and they didn't listen.
So the same approach can be used when they decide to write to us their concerns or their decisions. Then we can write back to them and tell them that we did.
Yeah. So for that, you don't need to be at IPAC.
Yes. So if the status quo will be remained, that the Electoral Commission will call us only to announce their decisions, then they have our addresses. They can just write to us. Then we'll respond to them. Sometimes if we respond, it gets intercepted. You media people, you intercept documents. You will still know. So we don't need to go in there and they tell us. Then we come out, then we come and speak. I mean, there's no need. It's just a waste of time, as if we don't have anything doing.
There are those who, in fact, I think it was the minority leader in Parliament who raised this issue about attempts to compile a new register. Do you have assurances that this law is meant to only do continuous voter registration? Is there anything within the law that assures you that the 2020 register will not be disposed of?
No, it will not be disposed of. In fact, it cannot happen. I don't think that Akufo-Addo would be that. I want to find the right word.
But he did dispose of the 2012 register.
I don't.
That was biometric.
I don't think that he will move his level of recklessness to that crescendo. I don't think Akufo-Addo will do that, especially in this economic crisis. Now, if you want to compile a new voter register, you may need over $1 billion. You are already in crisis. Your debt to GDP ratio is an overhang. It's hanging your neck almost 90%.
We're talking about somebody who is defending expenditure on a cathedral.
But that's why I'm saying that he will not move his recklessness to that crescendo. That the people of this country cannot take. I'm sure that they will just move and do the Arab Spring thing and go and move him from the Flagstaff House.
Well, we'll see what comes of
I'm
this.
sure his security advisors are telling him the signals on the ground, and he will not move his recklessness to that level.
But do you have confidence in this Electoral Commission enough to still trust them with the 2024 elections? What needs to be done? Because when I listen to you, I hear a lot of suspicion when it comes to the steps being taken by the Electoral Commission.
You see, there is no way that the NDC can trust the Electoral Commission, even with the printing of their letter from their own office.
Printing of a letter?
Yes. In fact, our level of mistrust and lack of confidence in the Electoral Commission is to the extent that even the letters they write to us, we think that it is written by the MPP.
You think letters from the Electoral Commission are written by the NPP?
Yes, that is the level of mistrust and the lack of confidence we have in the Electoral Commission. I just want to use that illustration to tell you how we do not have confidence in this Electoral Commission. And so these elections that we are going, we are clear in our minds. And that's why we are not going to happen. We are clear in our minds that we are our own Electoral Commission. And if you want our own security, and if you want our own judiciary in the 2024 elections, and I will not mince words on that, And take this from me. We are going into this election with our own electoral commission, with our own security, and with our own judiciary. And we are not thinking of going to court after 2024. It's not going to happen.
Is that not a recipe for chaos and conflict?
Recipe for chaos and conflict.
Because there's an official security
like, that's provided sometimes when there is no war, there is no peace. Because you put your dagger, I put my dagger, we sit down and talk. That's the only way you can instill peace. The history of the world has been the history of struggles. And the history of struggles has been you put your dagger, I put my dagger, we sit down and talk.
You're sounding like you not compromise in the 2024 election.
Absolutely not. It's not in our dictionary.
No compromise in your dictionary for 2024?
Absolutely not. Look, the people of this country are looking up to a savior. You see, like the biblical days when they prayed for a savior, and God sent His only begotten Son, because man was perishing. Man was going to perish. The people of this country are praying for a savior, somebody to take them out of the economic colonization of this Achin mafia, Akufo-Addo family, the MPP. People we need to be rescued. People are crying. So now, when you walk on the streets, the kind of distress that people are going through, it is not the ordinary distress that we have seen in this country. It is an unknown levels of distress. People are hungry and angry. And look, as politicians, we need to be managing the anger of the people. Otherwise, I think that this country will not be having it anymore. So, you see, they need somebody to rescue them. They know who can rescue them. They want the person to rescue them. They are crying for this rescue. They are crying for this independence. Just like the days of Nkrumah, when he was saying that independence now. So then some were saying, in the self-government in the shortest possible time. Majority of the people of this country are saying that, look, if we don't get independence from this Akufo-Addo government now, this Akufo-Addo Boamah government now, we are going to perish as a people. And so, look, they are looking up to us. And it is important that we do whatever it takes. Sana, some of us, we do not sleep. Because every day, you have to be thinking about the number of calls that you get. Look, last time in Kumasi, when we went around the KJTR market, for the first time in Ashanti region, and those who vote even against us, if you hear the kind of warnings that they were giving us, if you don't know and you don't win the 2024 election, if you don't know and you don't win, look, people are now threatening us, warning us that we must do everything it takes to save them. At this point, you can't think about compromise. At this point, you can't be father for all. At this point, you can't be man of peace. Because you see, if you do not get up, stand up, and get the right thing to be done, you may not have the peace anyway.
And then, so having said that, I'm sure you've heard the president when he said his last great political feat is to hand over power to another MPP administration.
I call it a wet dream.
What you know what a wet dream?
You know what a wet dream is. You fantasize in your dream, thinking that you are doing something. Before you wake up, you just wet in the bed. It's a wet dream.
That he won't get that.
It's a complete wet dream. Nothing short of that.
There are those who remind you of 2020.
So I'm telling you verily.
They took away.
General has a saying, it's a popular French saying, which he mostly, refer to. Premier Gaus and a Pagau. Then my uncle has a local version. He says the shrubalistic of a man is one press.
What does that? What is that supposed to mean? What?
Ask Nana Watch.
Because I don't understand. So that's why
ask Nana Watch. He will tell you.
Don't understand.
So what it simply means is that the first fool is not a fool. And whatever happened in 2020 cannot happen in 2024. That one I'll very, very assure you.
Well, 46 minutes past 9. We have to be bringing this to a close. So a couple of questions I'd like to ask you. The country you may take over, might be a country that is beyond help or distress, depending on what happens. As we speak now, there's been further downgrades. We are in junk status with the S&P. We are almost in that with Fitch now. We are waiting for Moody's. Are you, as the NDC, worried about how bad things are getting? 31.7% inflation. Our debt to GDP is up to the roof. We are struggling to do basic things. Children in senior high schools can't get food to eat. They are struggling. Parents are now having to cook for them, among others. The NDC worried about that. Is that a country? Is this a country that you really want to inherit?
Saying the NDC is worried about that is an understatement. Saying today that we are worried about the economic situation is an understatement. Because we would want to take over government and improve the livelihoods of the people, accelerate economic growth. You start from somewhere. When the foundation you build, you are building a story building. You start the foundation, you get to the second floor. The next person was supposed to come and continue so that they would be able to deliver the architectural plan. Then the person breaks the entire foundation. Doesn't add an inch of iron rod and mortar and concrete to rebuilding the foundation again. What it means is that when you come back and take over that job, you would have to start from the scratch and build the foundation again. And that will make your objective and your vision shrouded or crowded, under that difficulty. You see, and the thing about economics also is that in economics we have something we call the lag period. Okay. Every economic effect, just like your computer, when you type and your memory is very low, you see that if you are typing Sena Numu, it takes 10 seconds to come. If your memory is high, you just type Sena Numu and it comes even faster than you are typing. You understand? And that's how the economy is. What you put into the economy, if the fundamentals are weak, if the foundation is broken, it takes time for the output to reflect. Okay. You understand? And that was the crisis that we went into. All the foundation that we laid and the output was not reflecting. The people started crying and the MPP, they were borrowing too much, they were doing this, they were doing that. Until 2017, when they took over, that the people of this country saw that the President Mahama government was the most efficient in economic policy delivery. And that is why we had the highest growth in 2017. In fact, the economic monitors, the managers and those the IMF and all those people who know how economic models operate predicted that in 2017 we'll have the highest growth in the world. You remember? Yeah. IMF did the outlook. So what the MPP experienced in 2017 and they were gloating over was the work of President Mahama. Now the real work started in 2018, 2019, 2020, and we have just been on downward spiral. Budget deficit just on downward. We are just completely off. The last medium-term review, they are looking at some 8.9%. And it will certainly be more than that. I'm sure we will be getting about 13% if you study the trends and where we are going. If we are not careful, by 2022 ending, our debt to GDP will be 90%. 90%. So now 90%. Do you know that as we speak, the cost of interest alone, interest servicing, just interest, principals are not part. For the external debt, it's about 47.5%.
47.5%
of revenue. So the interest, all the interest, what the accounts call insihun, the interest on the loans that we have borrowed is 47.5% of our total revenue. So all the money that you are getting, you are using 47.5% to pay only interest or external debt. Internal debts are not, the TBs and the local, the loans that they have picked from the various banks and so on. It's not considered. So when you add that one, you can imagine we'll be hitting about 80%. So look, we are just joking. We are just borrowing and eating.
Is that where you think the problem is?
Yes, that's where the problem is. Otherwise, what's the problem? as we speak, our total debt is almost 400 billion. Look, the Akufo-Addo government has been the most luckiest government in the history of this country. Luckiest. Look, if you look at the quantum of money that Akufo-Addo has gotten in terms of revenue and grants, I mean, this country shouldn't be in this economic crisis. Close to about 500 billion. Free money. And every day when I hear them, cite COVID-19 and Ukraine war and all those things, I get worried. And in actual fact, I get angry. And the reason why I get angry is that, but for COVID-19, this country would have been worse than it is. And this country started plunging into economic chaos and quagmire before COVID-19 came in. It was a blessing that we got COVID-19. Look, because of COVID-19, we were able to rake in almost 40 billion, Ghana cedi in terms of current rates. If you want to use the rates at the time, you will get about 35 billion. Free money. Look, the last time we had free money in this country was somewhere 2007, 2008. But you see, what is most striking, Senna, as we speak right now, are you aware that our debt responsibilities alone for this year is about $2.75 billion. $2.75 billion. Now, the monies that we are able to use to pay that debt servicing, let me tell you the sources that they are looking at. Africa Exim Bank is giving us $750 million. They have some loans that are pending, syndicated loans, $250 million. When you add it, how much?
That's $1 billion.
They are looking at getting some 200 million from the sinking fund. So 1.2 billion. Our debt responsibility for this year alone is 2.75 billion. Take it out. How much are you getting? So we are 1.5 billion short. They don't know where to get the money. Yes, $1.5 billion short for interest payment. I mean, just debt. Managing your debt alone. You are not talking about infrastructure development. You are not talking about salaries. You are not talking about utilities. You are not talking about how to manage other things, other developmental productive issues. So you are short by 1.5 billion. And you know why they are looking for 3 billion from the IMF? So that they can get the money to go and pay the 1.5 billion for this year alone. Next year, it will be almost 2.9 billion. Our debt responsibility. Listen carefully how the economy is going. Next year will be 2.9 billion. This year, 2.75. And already they are short 1.5 billion. If IMF will give you a program, I don't foresee that the program is coming any time this year, maybe early next year. And they even admit to give you the 3 billion. IMF, that would be the highest money IMF has given to any country in the sub-region. 3 billion. Yes. And you know how they do it. They don't carry the 3 billion and come and give you. They will give it to you, sope. You know what is sope? So they would give you a 5-year program, maximum, the 3 billion. So 5-year program, how much are they going to give you every year? They are going to give you about 600 million. Now you need 1.5 billion. They don't know where to get the money from. And there's nowhere to get the money. In fact, you can't raise revenue and earn revenue of about 1.5 billion this year to pay that. Your external reserves is about 7.5 billion currently. So it means that you have to go and tap into your external reserves. The external reserves can only cover us in this country for only 2 months. We have only 2 months of import cover. So when you deplete that one, then you are completely gone. So you pick 1.5 billion from the 7.5 billion. Then you have maybe 1.5 months of import cover. Your economy is dead. That is the meaning of the grading that Fitch gave you. The CCC grading and the S&P CC plus. Moody's and Moody will bring their own very soon. In February, that was it. I think it was CAA1 in the same category. So look, you are in a position of debt distress. Let me break it down for you to understand what debt distress means. Like as you sit here, you owe so much. You owe about 1,000 Ghana cedi. Your salary is 100 Ghana cedi. So it means that you have to pay the 1,000 Ghana cedi at the end of the month. Your salary is 100 Ghana cedi. So no matter what you do, you can't pay the 1,000 Ghana cedi. So now you are looking for places to borrow. So you go and borrow 900 Ghana cedi. And the 900 Ghana cedi, because of the ratings have rated you so poorly that you don't manage your debt very well. When you go, they don't want to give you. And when you are lucky and you get somebody to give you, because you don't pay your debt, your interest will be higher. And you are going to pay 15%, 20%. So it means that what you have done is to defer your misery. And when you defer your misery, you accelerate your misery. Because then it comes to the higher price. So instead of paying 900, now you are going to pay 1,002.
I wish I could continue this, but now I have 3 minutes to close this show. So I'm going to ask you a question. What does the NDC think should be done in this situation now?
You see, when we were nearing this situation, in fact, ours was nowhere near this situation. We decided that we'll do a dialogue, a national dialogue.
Okay.
Because you see, at the end of the day, we are in this together, we perish together, we succeed together.
Okay.
So we decided to do a national dialogue. You remember Sinchi?
Yes, I recall.
Yes, I was in Sinchi. And that is one of the most brilliant things ever done by any government in this country. We had some, the opposition boycotted though, but I think one of them, either Safumafu or so, participated. But most of the work was done by, the civil society organizations, the experts and so on. In fact, my head of department at the time, Professor Peter Kote, was also part of the discussions. And we were able to raise the homegrown measures. Those homegrown measures, are you aware that those homegrown measures that we did and started implementing, when we went to the IMF, the homegrown measures were the same conditionalities that they were going to give us. And that is why we went for that money. So in our time, when we went for IMF, we didn't go because we were in economic distress and we can't afford to balance our current accounts and balance of payments was in crisis and we had to go and look for some money to come and do that. We didn't have that crisis. We wanted to strengthen our currency because if our measures and our programs is the same as the IMF is giving to, others at the time, why don't we go there and pick the currency and use it to, increase our reserve? Because it was a very smooth program. But what these guys are going into, look, the kind of program IMF will give to Ghana, we should brace ourselves for a very difficult time. It is going to be extremely difficult in this country. We should brace ourselves. Because look, the kind of recklessness in spending and expenditure by this government and the kind of situation this government has led the economy into, nobody will sit at IMF and relax and say, oh, we'll pamper you. You have brought your begging bowl, so let's give you something small to go and eat. No. Look, they are really going to tighten us. And that is why Labour have started speculating and acting on it before the program comes. Because if they don't get their demands now, they can't get their demands after an IMF program.
Okay. Well, I think we should make time and talk about national issues and agri, because I would really like to ask you some questions about agricultural policy
and the economy in detail.
Yes. But before we go, you are your people are going to Homo.
Oh,
and at least to be unfair not to give the opportunity to send a message.
Well, afi nyeme kasoloy bena ni wo shele wo game wo bro nyagino ni aflache ni menke namen bena mli akusun ni wo ba afi ejino koni asani wo kasalemo ha ni menke namen koni ametwa amese ni ameba kwawo because bena mli yani ma ishe kani menke namen ke wo cheme kable kuma eba kuma wo noni baba eba hin ewo watchman ulomen ni men kanamen ni wayo afine ni wayo homowo Saturday ni ba ne nya wo fen wo solia ni nyumo ni men na men ameba kwa mangana because mangana yani wo share ebiewa ni wanya wakudo mane ke wona jomo ke jengwen wo ngwen abawa wo ablekuma abakuma wo koni wanya wakudo ma ojuba Ni ma enye eya enye. So this is my message for my Ghana people.
Thank you. I couldn't help you because I didn't even understand what you just said.
I realized that you remove the headphones off so that you don't get your head blown.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senna, for this opportunity. Yeah. And I'm sure we'll find time to talk more about the economy and agriculture.
Very, very important that we have that conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Peter Boamah Otokunor is a Deputy General Secretary, in fact, Deputy General Secretary in charge of operations of the National Democratic Congress. Join us this morning for a conversation. Tomorrow we have another guest. Well, we'll share the fly with you at the right time.